Hello students, welcome back to your economics class. We are doing chapter 3 poverty. Poverty as a challenge. In this chapter so far we have learned the exact definition of the term poverty. Then we saw two typical cases of poverty, which was an urban case and a rural case. Then we learned about the variables of poverty, the landlessness, unemployment, size of families, illiteracy, poor health and malnutrition, child labor, helplessness. After that, last class, we just learned how poverty is seen by the social scientists nowadays, and we learned two major parts of it, that was social exclusion and vulnerability. Today, we will learn about poverty line. Today, we discuss poverty line. Whenever you will discuss poverty anywhere, at the center of the discussion is generally the concept of poverty line. Poverty line is a common method used to measure poverty based on the income or consumption levels of a person. So basically, poverty line is a common method used to measure poverty based on income or consumption levels. A person is considered poor if his or her income level or consumption level falls below a minimum level which is necessary to fulfill basic needs. Now, so basically, poverty line is a line which indicates level of purchasing power which is required to satisfy the minimum need of a person. It represents the capacity to satisfy the minimum level of human needs. The purchasing power can be expressed in the form of average monthly expenditure of a person. If we have an idea of the minimum level of purchasing power required to keep a person at a minimum level of living, a little below which he would be considered as poor. This purchasing power is called poverty line. Now, the people who fulfill the requirements of this purchasing power, they are regarded as above poverty line. And the people who cannot fulfill the minimum requirements of the purchasing power, they are called below poverty line. These people are called poor. So, poverty line divides people into two groups. Those who have minimum requirement, those who have the minimum required purchasing power or more, this group is not poor. And the second group is the ones who do not have the minimum level of purchasing power, and this group is considered as poor. Now today we will learn about the different causes of poverty. Sorry students, but before we learn about the causes of poverty, we need to know two more topics, that is vulnerable groups and interstate disparity. I know I have already covered this topic with you all, but some portions were left, so I'll do those today. Now, talking about vulnerable groups, the proportion of people below the poverty line is not the same for all social groups and the economic categories in India. social groups which are the most vulnerable to poverty line are scheduled caste and scheduled tribe households. Similarly, among the economic groups, the most vulnerable are the rural cultural labor households and the urban casual labor households. Now, uh, this particular graph that you can see on screen right now, it shows the percentage of poor people in all of these groups. Although the average for people below poverty line for all groups in India is 30, still 48 out of 100 people belonging to scheduled tribes in rural areas are not able to meet even their basic needs. Similarly, 47% to 50% of the urban casual workers are below poverty line. About 50% of landless agricultural workers and 43% of scheduled castes are also very poor. The double disadvantage of being a landless casual wage labor household in the socially disadvantaged social groups of the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribe highlights the seriousness of this problem. Some recent studies now shows some recent studies show that except for scheduled tribe, all the other three groups, that is scheduled caste, rural agricultural laborer, and urban casual laborers, have seen a decline in poverty. So, apart from these social groups, there is also inequality of income within family. In poor families, all of them suffer, but some people suffer more than others. Women, elderly people, female infants, they are systematically denied equal access to the resources available of the family. This we know repeatedly. How women are not allowed to study. Still, in so many places, food is first given to the male, and if nothing is left, women stay hungry. So the resources are not equally accessible by all members of the family. Therefore, women, children, especially the girl child, and the old people are the poorest of poor. Now, there is a little story of Shiva Raman. Shiva Raman lives in a small village near Karur town in Tamil Nadu. Karur is famous for its handloom and powerloom fabrics. There are 100 families in the villages, and Sivaram, he is an Arjun Thalithier, that means he's a cobbler by caste. And he nowadays works as an agricultural laborer for rupees 50 per day. But that's only for 5 to 6 months in a year. At other times, he does odd jobs in the town. His wife Shashikala also works with him, but she can rarely find work these days. And even if she does find work, she's paid only rupees 25 a day for the same work that Shivaram does. Now, there are 8 members in his family, and Shivaram has a 65-year-old widowed mother who is ill and she needs to be helped with all her daily chores. He also has a 25-year-old unmarried sister, and he has 4 children aged between 1 to 16 years. 3 of these children are girls, and the youngest one is a son. None of these girls, they go to school because buying books and other things for the school is a luxury that they cannot afford. Imagine, it's a luxury for them and it must be a necessity for us to study education books. Also, he has to get them married at some point of time, so he doesn't want to spend on their education now. His mother has lost interest in her life and she's just waiting for her death. His sister and elder daughter, they take care of the household. Shivaram plans to send his son to school when he becomes of the appropriate age. His unmarried sister doesn't get along with his wife. Shashikala finds her a burden and Shivaram cannot find a suitable groom because of lack of money. Although the family has difficulty in arranging even 2 meals a day, still Shivaram manages to buy milk once in a while, but only for his son. So this is the state of people, and you can see that even within the family, even within the poor families, there is still uh, some who are more poor because they are denied equal access to resources available. So in this story, you can see that they belong to a very low social and economic group. Who are the earning members in this family? Shivaram and his wife. And what is the condition of old people? Most of them, they are just waiting for their death. Are all children attending school? No. Only boys attend. Girls do not attend. Similarly, poverty in India has one more dimension. The proportion of poor people in all the states is not same. Okay, I have told you about this. We discussed this last class. State level poverty has witnessed a secular decline from early 70s, and the success rate of reducing these poverty varies from state to state. Recent estimates show that while the all India HCR was 21.9% in 2011 and 12, states like Madhya Pradesh, Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Orissa, they have all have above all India poverty level. They have risen. As the graph shows, as this graph shows, Bihar and Orissa continue to be two of the poorest states of the country, and the poverty ratios are 33.7 and 37.6% respectively. Along with rural poverty, urban poverty is also very high in Orissa, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. In comparison to these, there has been a significant decline in poverty in Kerala, Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, and West Bengal. States like Punjab and Haryana, they have traditionally succeeded in reducing poverty with the help of high agricultural growth rates. Kerala has focused more on human resource development. In West Bengal, land reform measures have helped in reducing poverty. In Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, public distribution of food grains could have been could be responsible for the improvement. I want you all to study this graph and identify the three states, and you will write this in your textbooks only, the answer. Identify three states where the poverty ratio is the highest, and identify three states where poverty ratio is the lowest. Looking at the global poverty scenario, the proportion of people in developing countries living in extreme economic poverty has fallen from 43% to 22%. That is, in 1990 it was 43%, and in 2008 it was 22%. Although there has been a substantial reduce in global poverty, it is marked with great regional differences. Poverty declined substantially in China and Southeastern Asian countries because of rapid economic growth and massive investments in human resource development. Number of poor in China has come down from 85% to 14%. That's up to now. In 2011 it was only 6%. And in countries of South Asia, that is India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, the decline has not been so rapid. Despite the decline in the percentage of poor, the number of poor has declined marginally from 61% to 36% because of different poverty line definition. Poverty in India is also shown higher than the national estimates. In the sub-Sahara Africa, poverty in fact rose from 51% to 47%. In Latin America, ratio of poverty remained the same. It has declined from 11% to 6.4%. Poverty has also resurfaced in some of the former socialist countries like Russia, where officially it was non-existent earlier. That means there was no poor in Russia, but now it is resurfaced. So table 3.2 shows the proportion of people living under poverty in different countries as defined by the International Poverty Line. The Millennium Development Goals of the United Nations calls for reducing the proportion of people living on less than $1 a day to half the 1990 level by 2015. Another homework for you all is this. You will study this graph and identify the areas of the world where poverty ratios have declined, and identify the area of the globe which has the largest concentration of the poor. So the global poverty line, the international poverty line, means population below $1 a day, the kind of population that doesn't even earn $1 a day. Okay. Okay, children, with this I end today's class. Next class we meet and we discuss the causes of poverty. We have done 3 parts today. We did the vulnerability groups, then we did the interstate disparities in poverty, and then we discussed about the global scenario of poverty. So with this I end today's class, children. Stay home, stay safe, take care, keep learning, and thank you.